So a long time ago, there was a queen of England, and her name was Victoria. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm going to switch to a different color pen.
Are we writing this?
Yeah, please do. So instead of pencil, we're going to use some pens. All right. So Queen Victoria marries a guy named Albert. Now, she's queen. He's called Prince or whatever. I don't know. However they do it in England. But he was not king. Just put it that way. His name was Albert. Okay. Now, Queen Victoria is a circle, right? And her husband, Albert, is a square. And the way that we know that they have mated and had children is that there is a line in between them. Okay? Alright, so, and when I say they had children, y'all, they had children. Holy moly, did they have children. So I'm going to draw a long line.
We get to choose the stations or just go in order?
You get to choose 3 out of the 6, okay? So I'm going to draw a long line to indicate all the children that she had. Now,
do we have to like color the puny squares?
The Punnett squares, only shade them in if the person is afflicted and half shade if they are heterozygotes. That's the only coloring in that you got to do. Alright, so let's start here. Now, the order of her children, I don't know. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I don't know which one came first. But there's one child, and she's a what? Girl, boy? Girl. And her name is Victoria. I'm wondering, she may have been the first. This is how her name's Victoria. Then we've got another one. Girl or boy? Boy. And that one was Edward. We've got another one. Girl or boy? Good. Her name's Alice. We've got another one. His name's Alfred. Then, got another one. Helena. Then another one. Y'all, this chick had a lot of kids. There's Louise. Sorry, Louise is a girl. Yeah, Louise is a girl. My bad. Make that circle, make that square circle. And then we got another one. Arthur. And then we got another one. Leopold. And I don't have enough room for the last one, Beatrice. Jeez, how many kids is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 kids. Holy crap. They were busy. It's a lot of kids. I would go through all of everybody, but that would take me forever, and let's not. All right, so I just want to concentrate on this kid, Alice. Huh? Arthur? Leopold. Leopold is a boy. He's a square. And then Beatrice. Or Beatrice. Definitely a girl. Alright, so Alice marries this guy. His name is Louis of Hesse. Who cares? He's just a guy. Alright, so Alice marries this guy and they get busy. Because this is what they did back in the day. They had lots and lots of kids. I'm not going through all the names of her kids because who cares? Okay, so we got 2. What are these? Those are girls. And here's another girl. Okay, and I've got a boy. Okay, then I've got a girl. And then over here I'm going to make some space. And I got another girl over here. Okay, the rest of these kids I don't care about. I only care about this one. This one right here, her name is Alexandra. Her name is Alexandra. That is her name. That's the one I care about. Because I want to tell her story. I'm going to turn somebody's mic off here. There we go. Alright, so Alexandra goes to Russia, marries the Tsar. Do you guys know what a Tsar is of Russia? Haven't gotten that far in history yet? I'm not sure why I made that so big. Okay, so the Tsar is like a king. And his name is Nicholas, or Nikolai. So, Nikolai. Okay? So she marries the Tsar, and so that makes her the Tsarina. So, in other words, she's the queen of, guess what? Russia. Okay? Obviously, this was a long time ago. Ms. Johnson doesn't know the date because she's not here to teach. Okay? So, Alexandra marries the Tsar of Russia, Nikolai. And they get busy. So, let's show them getting busy because they got really busy. Alright. Now, that having been said, what back in the day did the kings and queens, or what sex of child was most popular or best? What is the sex that they wanted? They wanted a boy. Okay, so the first time they got pregnant, guess what? They had a girl. They were disappointed. So they named her Olga. I'm joking. I'm sure they're very happy. And they still named her Olga. Alright, and then the next one was another girl. They named her Tatiana. Okay, and then the next one, another girl. They named her Maria. Oh, I didn't even need that much space. Oh, well. And then, so the next one, another girl, and they named her Anastasia. And then the last one, guess what? They finally got a boy. I can get rid of some of this space over here. I didn't need all that. They named him Alexei. Alexei. Alright, so here's the issue. I'm going to get rid of all of this. Nobody's confused because you need that. Alright, here's the issue. Alexei here, They were so excited. They're like, oh my God, thank you finally, Jesus, for giving us Alexi. But Alexi was super sick all the time. Always sick. Just a sad little sick little boy. Alexi had a funky little disease called hemophilia. It was unfortunate. Here's Alexi. He was a hemophiliac. He was sick all the time, on death's door, all the time. And so his genotype was X little h y, because he had hemophilia. Now, in order for Alexi to have actually had hemophilia, his dad didn't have it, his mom didn't have it. We know that boys get their X chromosomes from their mothers, right? So what was her genotype? Uh-oh. Good. She had to be a heterozygote because she didn't have the disease, but somehow she was able to give birth to a child who had the disease. Does that kind of make sense? Okay? Now, he doesn't matter because the only chromosome he gave Alexi was that Y chromosome. Alexi got his X chromosome from his mom. Okay, so she's X, big H, X, little h. So the way I'm going to indicate that is I'm going to half shade her. She doesn't have the disease, right? No, she doesn't have it. But she did surely pass it on to her child, right? All right. If we go back up to her parents, we know that Alice was also a carrier. So that means that Queen Victoria was what? Also a carrier. Now check out what happens. Leopold was sick. He had hemophilia. And Beatrice was a carrier. And later on, one of Alice's children has 2 boys. This child right here, Irene is her name. She ends up having 2 boys. That are hemophiliacs. Now, Queen Victoria, so back in the day, it was very important to marry your kids off. If you were royalty, you married your kids off to other royalty in Europe. And so Queen Victoria married her kids off to other royalty, and so she essentially spread hemophilia across Europe. That's what ended up happening. Now, when Queen Victoria passed on her hemophilia gene, it ended up causing the end of the Russian monarchy. Here's what happened. So little Alexei right here was always really sick. And the Tsar and Tsarina were freaking out because, whoa, they only had one male. And that was really bad for him to die. So they get this guy. His name is Rasputin. Do you guys remember Rasputin from the cartoon? You do? He was kind of funky looking. And he was funky looking in real life too. Just saying. He was not a very pleasant looking human being. Anyway, so they get this guy Rasputin, and Rasputin's like, dude, I am so good with kids, and I can cure anything. I got this. And so he would go in there, and he would sit by Alexei's bedside, and he would do some sort of boogly woogly, who knows. And then Alexei would feel better. And so the Tsar and Tsarina were like, oh my God, Rasputin, you're amazing. And so every time Alexei got sick, they'd call on old Raspy here. And they'd have Raspy come by and do whatever little boogly woogly he was doing. And Alexei would get better. And so after a while, World War I broke out. And so the Tsar went off to fight. And leaving the Tsarina in charge of, like, all of Russia. And so the Tsarina, Alexandra, relied mostly on Rasputin, who was kind of a jerk. And ultimately what happened was, since he was so awful to all the villagers and everyone, the nobles decided they needed to get rid of Raspy. You know, because the Tsarina was clearly either in love with him or something was up. And so they needed to get rid of Raspy. And so what did they do? Well, the first thing they tried to do is invite him over for some tea. And they tried to put poison in the tea, but, you know, that didn't work. He lived through it. He lived through it. And they were like, the heck is going on here? And so next thing they tried is, after they tried to poison him, they tried to shoot him several times. And he lived through that. And they were like, what? This dude. So the next thing they tried to do is they just tied him up and threw him in a frozen river, and he froze to death at that point. In fact, he didn't even freeze to death. I think he drowned. So freezing didn't even work. But he eventually did. He did die. So the nobles decided, you know what? After we've gone through all this crap with this horrible guy, Rasputin, it's all the Tsar and Tsarina's fault. So let's put them in jail. Now, mind you, when they put the entire royal family in jail, it wasn't a jail. It was like a smaller castle. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't jail necessarily. And so they kind of locked them up on house arrest. And when a particular family called the Bolsheviks, when they kind of became more popular, they decided, we can't have these two around anymore. So what they did is they went to this castle and they gathered up the Tsar and the Tsarina and all of their kids, took them down to the basement, and shot them all. So, and then buried their bodies in shallow graves. It's really sad. So ultimately, Queen Victoria's nasty little hemophilia gene caused the ultimate demise of the Russian royal family. Pretty sad. Now, where does the story Anastasia pick up? There's a lady who comes along, and she goes over to Nikolai's mother and says, hey, you know, I am Anastasia. I survived the shooting. And Nikolai's mother, who's like the Duchess of something, who knows, and she believes her for a while, but after a while they figured out that she wasn't. Anastasia actually did get shot in that basement. She actually did die. Anyways, I wanted to make sure that you guys understood how these work. This is my first generation, so put an I there. For first generation, Victoria and Albert. And then their children are the second generation. Here's the third. Okay, yeah. Yep. Here's a little fourth one right here. Actually, you know what? Let's just go fourth right here. So 4. Typically speaking, we would also number these. So this Victoria would be 1, Edward 2, Alice 3. We skip Alice's husband and go straight to Alfred, Helena, so on and so forth. Typically, we number them. And so that if I were to ask you what is the genotype for generation 1, person 2, you'd say, what? X big H, X little h. Does everybody see how to read that? Any questions about how to read that? All right. So hopefully you don't go to your